Hey friends, thanks for joining me. We're in the midst of a series called How to Thrive in the Season of Uncertainty. Because if there is anything we can be certain of, it's that we're in a season of uncertainty. We have been spending the last several weeks talking about how we can thrive physically in this time. But we're going to shift gears and talk about our relationships. Because I don't know about you, but I've been all over with my people. I mean, one minute I'm so grateful for the extra time I've had with my kids and I'm loving it. And literally 30 seconds later, I'm like, I don't ever want to see them again. Maybe when they're 18. Or Brian, there's days where I'm like, please go back to work. And then he mentions it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope you never go back. And my neighbors, I love them. I love living in community. But there's days, you guys, where I just want to hide when they knock on the door. And my friends, there are days where I have tons of energy. So I reach out to a couple people. And then when they respond, for whatever reason, I'm too overwhelmed to get back to them when I was the one that initiated the contact. You guys, I know I'm not alone. And I know I'm not alone because it's normal. It's normal for us when we're in stressful situations, when we're in the midst of crisis, to not have the relational capacity that we normally do. And hear that from 110% extrovert who is usually all in all the time with all the people. And I do not have nearly the relational capacity that I normally do. But unfortunately, it is not time for us to retreat. It is time for us to dig in because we need community more now than ever before. I rarely have to convince anyone why it's important to be in relationships, but let me share a couple of really cool things that come when we live in a relationship. Did you know that people who surround themselves with healthy people tend to live longer? Did you know that people that live in community heal faster? Did you know that people that surrounded themselves with life-giving people have less stress in their life and tend to make healthier choices? I think that's so cool. And you know what, you guys, those are only a couple that you would find if you Googled the benefits of living in community. They are endless. So rarely do I have to convince anyone the importance of living in community and having healthy relationships. It's more the question of how. How do I have healthy relationships, especially right now? How do I have healthy relationships in this season of uncertainty? So let me share a couple things that have helped me along the way. First of all, you need to figure out what you need in order to love the people you love the most, the best you possibly can. So let me explain. I've gone through crisis before, so when COVID hit, I had a couple tools in my toolbox, and I knew, being an extrovert that I am, that I was going to need to see someone outside of my family every single day. So right when the stay-at-home order was given to Minnesota, I started setting up social distance walks every day. I would meet people on the road. We would stay 6 feet apart, but every day I walked with someone outside of my immediate family. And no matter how exhausted I was, no matter how much I wanted to stay home, I did not cancel. Because at the end of the walk, you guys, I was always renewed and energized and ready to love my people. You know what, friends, that is probably going to be different if you're introverted. You may need to get up a half hour early and have coffee by yourself. You may need to turn the TV off a half hour early and sit in silence when everyone is sleeping. Whatever you do, friends, you need to prioritize what you need to do in order to love the people you love the best that you possibly can. And then second is take inventory of your relationships. This feels silly, but what I want you to do is I want you to create 2 lists. I want you to create a list of life-giving people in your life that really energize you. And then I want you to create a list of people that are more draining, that it just takes more work to be around them, and that maybe are more needy in this season of life. And I want you to look at those lists, and I want you to evaluate, do you have way more life-giving people or way more draining? How balanced are those lists? At this point, most people would say those draining people you need to stop spending time with them. They're not worth it. And I 100% disagree. Because I think when we spend too much time with life-giving people that are just like us in our own season of life, we get complacent and we forget God's calling on our life. But if we spend too much time with people that are tough and are in tough situations, we get drained and resentful. So you need to look at those lists and you need to evaluate, am I off balance in either way? And you need to readjust and prioritize that you are making sure that you have a good balance of giving and receiving in your life. A lot of you right now probably feel like, man, all I do is give. I just give and I give and I get it. I'm an activator, I'm a pursuer. There's been so many times where I feel like I'm in just one-sided relationships. But you know what, you guys? You have to fight for life-giving relationships. Rarely have they just fallen on my lap. I've been known to go up to people and say, hey, there's something about you. I want to be your friend. Can we have coffee? No one's ever said no. I'm not saying they're all my lifelong friends, but some of them are. I've had to inconvenience myself. I had to be vulnerable and put myself out there. I've had to work around crazy schedules, work through tension and awkward conversations in order to have these healthy, life-giving relationships. But you know what, you guys? It is worth the fight. It is worth all the effort. Because when I have those people that are giving me life in my corner, it allows me to have the energy and the resources that I need when I interact with those people that are more tough. And not only that, it allows me to love the people that I love the most in the best way that I possibly can. You guys, I get it. It would be easy to just want to retreat, curled up in the fetal position and wait till this is all over. It's not the time for that. It's time to dig in. It's time for us to love well. It's time for us to love the people that we love the best way that we can, to press into those life-giving relationships so that we have the energy to be around those people that are a little bit more tough. You guys, I want to remember this season not as a season of retreat, but a season where I have pressed in to the relationships in my life, and then I can step back and say, you know what? I loved people well. I loved the people I loved the best I could. I pressed into my life-giving relationships, and I pushed through some tough ones. And I think that if we can do that, we can be really proud of this season of uncertainty.